We really appreciate you. Thank you again for your patience. We advise that you please open your agenda so that you can understand what we're doing at every point in time. Please log on to Slido, the Slido website that was shared with you in your agenda. If you have questions for the panelists, or you have questions for the team, or you have any area of your business that you would like us to incorporate in our conversations for today. This is the third edition of Lagos SME Bootcamp. The first time that we are holding it, the virtual edition. We are very much excited to have you. We also have a streaming link, a web streaming link, a web platform. WebTV is streaming. We also have a YouTube address. We are sending that out now to all registered participants. Today, we're going to have a very fantastic session. We have a lineup of panelists that are absolutely brilliant. They are amongst the best that you have in the industry. I have Mr. Babatunde Irukewa online. Mr. Babatunde Irukewa is the CEO of Federal Consumer Protection Council. He is an accomplished lawyer, administrator, and public servant. I have Nkiru Olumide Ojo online. I have Babatunde Omotoye Tunde Tash, if you know him on Twitter. I have Damilare Zaccheaus. Damilare Zaccheaus is an investment banker, the founder of OGZ Foundation. He's going to be talking to us on social currency. I have Kiton Babalola and Adesua. And I promise you it's going to be a fantastic event. Please let's make it as interactive as possible using all the platforms that we have shared with you. Just a few housekeeping rules. Please, all your mics, do not unmute your mic by yourself. If we want you to talk, please use all the platforms. If you look at your webinar chat room, we have just dropped the Slido link into the chat room to all panelists and attendees. If you also would like to chat, please use your Zoom webinar chat room. You can select in the to field, you can select who you are sending it to. You can send to me personally, you can send to panelists, you can send to all the hosts. Please, let's keep to the house rules so that we can have a fantastic session. Thank you so much for dialing in. We appreciate you. We'll start the event. We'll start with our panels in just a few minutes. Thank you. hosting SMEs and to be discussing about the sustainability and management of SMEs at a time when businesses are, suffering from the impact of COVID-19. And just, yesterday we had the terrible news that NIPOST was clamping down on logistics companies, impounding their, motorcycles, arresting them, and telling them to pay between 250,000 to 2 million naira for registration, excluding, recurrent fees on an annual basis. And we know how logistics has been very integral to the survival of most retail enterprises and even individuals in the country. So I really look forward to an exceptional conversation today. I need to confirm, please. Our panelists, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
okay,
loud and clear.
Okay, so I'll start with you, Mr. Ogunubi. You are a veteran in the finance world, and you have managed quite a number of initiatives and organizations in terms of finance. Only about less than 10% of enterprises, SMEs, get to live beyond their initial generation of founders, and that's largely because, number one, they are unable to successfully plan their succession, and a lot of them do not even have financial records. How do you what advice, how do you believe that MSMEs, startups, and even some large enterprises should be managing their enterprise? How affordable can it be? What are the options that exist for them?
Thank you, Ayo. It's first, let me just thank you for inviting me and bringing me on this platform. I think the issues reflect concerning the SMEs. They are multifaceted. So it's I mean, on one hand, you can look at the structural issues, you can look at educational issues, you can also look at the issues around regulation. Just one of the examples that you give now, which I'm sure that when you ask NIPOST, they will point to some elements of the law that allows them to do that. But what I find most profound, most fascinating, is the financial reasons why. And from my own experience, not just managing finance in a multinational. Sorry, let me put on my video so that you can see me. But also mentoring and discussing with SMEs, at various levels. I found some things very obvious within their financial structure. And maybe some of these things are traceable to their education, because I can tell you MBS came out with the statistics that said well over 51% of SMEs have no education whatsoever. And when you look at the numbers that actually have some formal education, like you went to university and all that, actually less than 10%. So that statistics basically matches the statistics you just given right now, that less than 10% of SMEs actually see up to their 5th anniversary. And that's not just a Nigerian statistics, that's actually a global statistic. So for me, there are lots of reasons, but I am more particular about the financial ones. You need to unmute your mic, Ayon.
So aside the regulatory issues, let's even look internally at SMEs who themselves are even unable to manage themselves in terms of their financials. You see a lot of them spending money from their personal, account, spending it to, transferring personal money into the business, spending business money. I was speaking to a friend who owns a small business and, had to travel abroad for delivery and was spending his company's ATM and his company's card. And I'm like, this is. So how can these businesses effectively manage their company's financials? What are the basic effective ways that they can manage those financials?
Okay, fine. You need to understand that every organization has what we call a business life cycle. So your business life cycle starts from you having what you call your pre-startup era, your startup era, your pre-growth, your growth, and then your maturity, and thereafter your decision phase, whether you exit or whether you continue. Now, for each of these stages, there are requirements for financial compliance. And I always tell people that the same rules that make big organizations succeed, are the same rules that make small organizations succeed. It's just a scale issue. It's not a principal issue. So at each of these stages, there are things that are very, very important. And I'll like a few of them. Number one, I think is very important is the issue of budgeting, in terms of financial plan. Many organizations don't have a budget. And it's so surprising because there's no big organization today that doesn't have a functional budget. They don't have a budget. They don't have a budget that breaks down their expenses and expenditure and looks at macroeconomic inputs like how does inflation affect our cost in this new year? How is the rate of the exchange rate affect our activities? Do we have a cut-off date and things like that? And how do we match our budgets to actuals to actually help us decide what is the best way to go forward in terms of how we manage our resources? The second thing is about basic bookkeeping, that is not done. It's basically not done, and I've mentored a lot of SMEs and I ask them, what is the record, your financial records of your business? And they have none. The ones that try, they bring an exercise book for me with virtually useless information. So bookkeeping is very, very important. The thing you must do is that you must secure an accounting tool. If you can't afford it, use Excel. You understand? I even went to the extent of creating a template on Excel for SMEs, which allows them to create their inventory, sell, create an invoice, all right, book all their expenses and all that. And that whole template generates a P&L account for them and a balance sheet and a cash flow statement on Excel. I even go to the extent to give it to them. They don't use it. Why? Because it takes effort to actually impute into this tool. But you need it. You cannot go outside of it. So you need a bookkeeping tool. You need to separate yourself from the business. So you cannot have a business and then a bank asks for your bank account statement, and they are seeing expenses to the hair salon, or Brazilian wig, or some funny expenses, which shows that you're actually using the business account to run your personal stuff. So, and you must ensure there's a reconciliation between your expenses and receipts. So you must keep documents, just basic documents that like invoices, cash receipts, vouchers, agreements, a lot of all these things. Number three is cash flow. So cash flow is very, very, very important. You must understand that what pays your salary is not profit and loss. It is the volume of cash that you can generate from the business. And the basic things there is to be able to know what are your sources of cash, your operational sources of cash, and your non-operational sources of cash. And then you look at how do I increase my cash flow? So it's simple: increase your sales or reduce your expenses. So those are some of the things that I have seen, and I think that are very, very important. I could go on to talk about the importance of reporting, P&L accounts, and all that, but those are the foundations. If those things are not, that I've mentioned right now, are not there, you basically don't have a foundation for that organization.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. I mean, that. I think you've pretty much covered most of it. I was going to ask you about that your Excel sheet, sir. Is it free of charge? Can we share with our community members, or do they have to pay? It's okay.
I mean, it's what I do is I try to make it it's customized, so what you find into internet services or tech services is different from those that is inventory heavy. You understand? So what I try to do is just my own way of giving to my mentees to make sure that they have something that they use. So it's not a one size fits all. I just look at the particular organization, the particular SME, and I design something for them to be able to use.
Maybe we can come up with parameters to shortlist a few of them, and we can then engage you to provide it with them. Just a few.
Definitely, I'll be happy to work on it, but only under the auspices of the Lagos SME.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's it, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so when we come back for the Q&A, sir, we'll talk more about techniques, specific techniques, how they can manage cash flow, because that cash flow is a fundamental issue. Thank you, sir. Okay, I would like to announce now that Nkechi was unable to join us. Unfortunately, she has a family emergency this morning, and I mean, my heart goes out to her, but it's so sad. But it's okay. I'm going to cover that, that area, and I'm sure other panelists will also be able to discuss business models and sustainable business models and how we can effectively raise capital. Thank you so much, Mr. Ogunubi. So we'll come back to you again. Again, as I said, most SMEs fail because of cash flow trap and not even necessarily because of P&L. So we'll come back to that so that you can look at it critically. Tunde Omotoye, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for this. I know that you're dialing in from Canada and you're probably in the middle of the night. So
yes, that's fine. I had to wake up 4 a.m. as early as 4 a.m.
You are one of those talents that fled our beloved country.
Well, I have no comment about that.
Anyway,
thank you for having me.
Yes. So Tunde, you have done quite a lot in human capital management, right? And when it comes to issues of talent, a lot of people say that Nigeria, working with a Nigerian company or SME, don't try it. Just go to multinational. They are unable to manage people. But let's even look at the people from a multifaceted point of view. There's the people in terms of internal staff. Yeah. But a lot of SMEs also have just one or two people, right? So it's not so much about staff alone, but how to manage all the stakeholders, the various elements of people in your enterprise, right? Yeah. How would you say, what effective ways, what mechanisms, what attitudes and patterns can SMEs adopt to effectively manage the people in their business?
Thanks, Ario, for that question. Morning, everybody. I think one thing that resonates with me and a lot of, I think, SMEs out there is one thing they have to adopt in managing, be it the short number of staff they have or the stakeholders, is effective communication. You find that most SMEs, right, they probably don't communicate effectively enough, in the sense that it might be towards the end, or when something is already due or even past due before they actually communicate, whatever it is they have to communicate, right? It might be change of price rate, right? It might be failure to deliver on time, right? It might be shortage of goods and all that, where you have stakeholders, customers, and that expecting deliverables, right? But being able to communicate effectively, and this boils down to also how you treat your immediate environment, and this comes to talking about even your one or two staff, right? And we're talking about communication, not even in terms of only written or speaking communication skills, but communication in terms of body language, facial expressions, the way you actually pass the message, right, to your stakeholders, to your staff and people around you, or customers, right, or even your competitors, the one you are probably in a very how would I put it now? Those you are in an effective competition with, not the other type of competition, right? Being able to communicate effectively is something that is very, very important. And I think another thing is being able to have good decision-making skills. You find that most SMEs, they probably don't know how to think on the spot, right? And being able to make decision and evaluate, decisions, and being able to decide crucial, crucial, excuse me, I'm trying to think of this word now, but decision making is a very important skill that is actually also needed. So I've talked about communication skills, decision making, and one other thing is leadership skills, right? COVID-19, first of all, now, most of us didn't see it coming, but I think most companies, regardless of how big you are in this period, you find that most countries, for instance, let's take, for instance, maybe even the highest role in a country, maybe it's a president or a prime minister, you find that most countries had to adopt that leadership role of talking to everybody, every day. Some will probably leave it till later because they feel, why do you have to see me? But you need your citizens, you need the people around you to understand what's happening. You need to carry them along, right? Most SMEs will probably not know how to even tell the employees, oh, this is what is happening. Stakeholders, oh, this is what is happening. We are either shutting down, we are continuing business, taking up that leadership role of trying to manage it effectively, regardless of whatever situation it is a very effective, is a very important skill, right, that SMEs need. And I think another thing I will talk about, just so that I don't take much time, is time management skills. So I find that in this part of the world, right, I come from a different part of the world, but in this part of the world, I find that people are very...
You come from another part of the world?
No. I said from this part of the world, right? And I'm talking about, I don't want to call it advanced world, and I don't want to call where I'm from, a third world country. We are not. I just believe we are still growing. But in this part of the world, you find that SMEs, especially small businesses, big businesses, whatever, they keep to time, right? Time management for them is very important. And time management is not just about appointments, it's about delivery of services, right? It's about keeping to your word, saying, oh, I'm going to deliver this at this set time. Be sure that if you are told that this is going to be delivered at this set time, it's going to be delivered at that set time. And even if it is not going to be delivered at that set time, you have communication skills coming in the sense that you are told, you are informed ahead of time, right? If somebody is going to be late for a meeting, they get to inform you an hour before, 30 minutes before, right? Those are little things that actually drive the businesses. To you, it might look very tangible. There's nothing there, right? Where you say things like right? But it actually matters, because those little things, when put together, they are actually what holds the businesses together, those skills. So I think those are, I'll just round up on that, on those effective management skills. If you are able to put those things together, leadership, time management, communication, and effective communication and decision making, you'll be very, very surprised that an SME will actually grow from, it could be 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, to whatever you imagine it to be, and you will gradually scale that way.
I mean, thank you so much. Tunde, when we come back, please, lack of corporate governance, standards and all that, MSMEs tend to adopt the dictatorial or absolute type of leadership, which then has negative impact on the people. That's why all of them want to run away from that environment. So we'll look at that more critically, when we get back. Let me move now to Nkiru. It's such a privilege to host you here, ma'am. Thank you so much. I know you're also dialing in from South Africa, but you are not an abscondee like Tunde and Damilare. Even if you abscond, I'm sure your children still belong here. You know, there was a time I said this to somebody, and the person said, "God forbid."
No, there's no God forbid, though. We have to make Nigeria great again. So there's no God forbid.
Yeah.
We have to make Nigeria great again, not like Donald Trump, though.
No, by no means.
Anyway, so I mean, you are one of Nigeria's finest brand communication professionals, right? And we know that brand budget is one of the biggest budgets in enterprises P&L, and by default, SMEs cannot afford it. However, digital has helped, to simplify, but now even digital is getting expensive, to have campaigns now online. Even if you want to use micro influencers, I don't know, depends on who you want to use. It now comes, pretty pricey. So, but I'm sure there are ways, basic, practical, affordable ways that SMEs can work on their brand. How can you look? What should be your appeal? All these kind of little things. Can you give us some nuggets to that, please?
So thank you so much for having me, Ayo, and hello everyone who is on the panel. Good morning to you. I mean, I often say that you never share learnings without learning yourself, and just having heard the last two speakers, I already have a few thoughts and notes. So really quickly, I'll jump into what I think your question is, which is how SMEs can effectively brand and market, themselves. I mean, I think the first thing I find is the big notion that, first you get two notions. First is that branding is expensive. And two, I find that there is a misunderstanding between what branding is versus what marketing is. So I'll go with branding first. And branding is your identity and is who you are. And I know that SMEs, when they think of branding, think about big deals. And it isn't. It's really just what your identity is. And I often say that the basis of branding or marketing is downright your customer segmentation. I find SMEs who think that research is a big deal or it's expensive, but I'd like to say that you do yourself more harm if everything you are doing with your brand and marketing is not based on research. I also find that SMEs like anecdotal feedback. They would say, my cousin said that that's how it works. You are not going to design a whole, go-to-market strategy based on what your cousin thinks. So I often say, no matter how little it is, there's always an independent researcher, always. Find an independent researcher who says to you, I understand that this is the way that your target audience thinks. This is the way that they consume. The way that I consume information is quite different from the way Mr. Gunubi will consume, absolutely different. The role of that researcher is to understand it, research it, and bring it back to you so that you can design your brand identity. You can also design your pricing. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the go-to-market approach. So you now have a brand, you now have an identity. You need to think about how you send the brand to market. And it's critical because a lot of people are selling vanilla products. And the key way in which you differentiate your vanilla product is in the approach that you go to market. I often use Sir Richard Branson as an example, and it's the brand that I worked on for many years. He was selling the same flights from Lagos to London that everyone was selling. It was in the manner in which he took his product to market. It was in the manner in which his service was delivered. The other thing I find in sending your go-to-market approach with SMEs is the investment in the people that deliver the service. So it's not enough for you to find all the right channels and have the right strategy to go to market. You need to invest in the people who deliver the service. Otherwise, you will make a big brand promise, have a great go-to-market strategy, but the experience with the products will have a huge dissonance. I find SMEs who do all the great things and advertise, and you get in contact with them. Actually, I've gotten in contact with people who've had great marketing before, and the kind of things they will tell me will be like, this thing is my side gig. I do it in the evening. So I'm sorry I didn't respond to you. Since morning, I was in a meeting in my office. Who cares? You spent a lot of time putting out this product. Yes. you need to ensure that there's an alignment between your brand promise and the actual delivery. So, I mean, I'm going to stop here. And when Tunde spoke about leadership, I sprang up, obviously, because it's an area that I'm passionate about. I feel like if SMEs can invest in delivering the right type of leadership, then it would align with your brand experience and your go-to-market strategy, and you would have a better outcome. So I'll stop here and just hand over to you for now. I'm sure we'll have room to discuss further. Thanks, Ayo, and well done for all you do. I forgot that piece.
I mean, thank you so much. We couldn't have done anything, like this without support from, people like you who can do this for us for free. Because if you decide to charge us for this, I'll probably have to sell myself and my family. I mean, thank you so much. You see that when you mentioned people, SMEs who don't get back because they say it is side hustle, it resonated so well with me, because I've engaged a lot of people simply because they responded quickly and had to let go of so many vendors. I mean, that alone is a brand killer. And then there's the integrity issue, not delivering the right thing, so many factors like that at the brand. But I think we'll get back there, during the panel session. I would go now to Damilare Zacchaeus. Damilare is going to talk to us on social currency, right? I mean, to be honest, in this age, the new currency is your social capital. I mean, I just said that I didn't have to pay this amazing, set of panelists to be here, but if I didn't have that social capital, it probably would be harder to reach out to them. Damilare, please, can you talk to SMEs on how, practical and effective ways that they can amass and spend their social currency?
Right. First of all, thank you, Aya, for having me here. And thank you to all the panelists and all the attendees. It's a great morning, and only Mr. Ayo Bankole will keep me up by like 5 in the morning. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate this opportunity. So social currency, right? A lot of people hear the term social currency, but they do not understand the concept. And someone at my job, a very famous lady called Carla Harris, broke it down to me. She's like, you should have a mentor and a sponsor. Like, a mentor leads you, right? And the sponsor advocates for you behind closed doors, right? And majority of people who run businesses now, or for the lack of better words, want to just make sales, focus so much on the products, right? They focus so much on, oh yeah, I just want to make this money, I just want to sell this thing, and they don't realize that they are part of the product. You yourself, you're a brand, right? Everyone you interact with sees you, and you ultimately want to provide value at every point in time, right? Going back to what Mr. Ayo just said, I got the concept of social currency through the last conference I held in Ibadan, right? It was more of like cold calling, reaching out on social media. Hey, I see you. This is what you're doing. I appreciate what you do, but in return, I will provide you this value. So you always want to think from the reverse, like, okay, I want this person. What value can I provide to this person? And I have a quick story I'll share. I have this mentor. He owns one of the major record labels in Nigeria. And I just bumped him in the city in New York. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, this is someone I just see on the news, right? This is someone who on a normal day, would not be in close proximity with. How can I think on my feet? I do not have any value to provide. I'm a businessman. I do not know anything about, entertainment. So I walked up to him. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry right now, but I value you. I see what you do. I would like to take you out to dinner next week. In my head, I had to think of, okay, how can I meet this person without collecting anything, provide some sort of value that would give me some time to actually interact with him. So in our businesses, we actually start thinking of that, right? We are competing in an environment where, to be honest, is saturated. You have a lot of people selling similar products, and in some cases, the same products. So how do you set yourself aside? And we'll be lying if we do not say Nigeria is a relationship-centric economy, right? In the sense that it's who you know greatly affects what you do, not to take away from your skill sets or your talents, right? Going back to what Mr. Tunde said about, leaving the country and in an economy that, values every single thing, time, skill sets, whatnot. Nigeria greatly thrives on relationship. And honestly, that is true across the globe. But if you're in an environment that one outweighs the other, you should equally take it as important. We could sit here and, deliberate how it's unfair, you have to meet people, you have to know people, but honestly, that is the reality of things. So how can you possibly start increasing your social currency as a SME owner, right? Think of yourself as a brand. Okay, I sell shoes. How do I get into the network of fellow people who sell shoes to know what is happening in the industry? I'm a logistics person. We heard what happened yesterday. Funny thing is, it's been out for so long. I think the first time I heard about it was last December, right? And then they came for the rideshare, the Go-Kada people. Now it's for the logistics. And I've heard chatter about the Uber riders too coming up. So now you want to put yourself in environments where you have proximity to information like this. And I think everyone being here right now is the first step to that. As you are connected with like-minded people, I'd advise you to even take it a step further. You've heard from Mr. Inka, you've heard from Ms. Inkiri, you've heard from Tunde. Personally, I'll still reach out to each and every one of them because they know something I obviously don't, and I probably know something they don't. I can see Adesua smiling because she knows I'm definitely coming to reach out. So I would encourage people, reach out to people, understand, what they don't, share what you can, but always provide value. You don't want to be the person that just takes, and never pours in. It could be as simple as I have a habit of going to my mentor with wine. It's like, every time you come here, if it's not bread, it's wine. In my head, I'm like, see, you can give me value. I don't know as much as you do. I might as well just come with something. And sometimes if it's not them, it's people that surround them. You're going to their office, if it's just a diary customized, something little. I mean, it's something small compared to what you spend on your marketing or branding budget, but the value you get in return is much, much more. And I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Damilari. You see, to be honest, for most SMEs, the only thing they have, aside their working capital, is their social currency. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't understand the gravity of their social currency. For example, you go online, right? The same social media platform that has made brands, mega brands out of people. You see a few SMEs, their handle is their business handle, but with their business handle, they are cursing people, they are fighting dirty fights, they are tweeting or posting on Instagram, the branding kind of element. I've had to, reach out to a few of them to say, hi, gentlemen, you can't be using your, and then they will even abuse me again. I know I have the right to do what I want. And I just lost it. That no. You guys don't even understand what's going on this platform. So because a free platform where you're supposed to, build your social currency and, network and engage, push your brand out there for free, you are then misusing it. So I think we'll get back there. We'll zoom it in on I think we need to look a lot at digital. So we'll come back to that. Damilari, thank you so much for those perspectives. I'll go now to Kiton, Olaoluwa Kiton. Before I call your name Kiton, and then I don't know, maybe you don't like your name, being abbreviated.
Kiton is fine.
All right. You've done quite a lot of work with CBI, Convention on Business Integrity, right? And it's a beautiful initiative that has helped, lots of organizations and public enterprises around integrity, corporate governance, standards, all of those kind of elements. SMEs, a lot of SMEs that I've interacted with think that issues of corporate governance, and what have you, standards is for the big companies. That is an alien thing, that, that's not for us. When we get bigger, we'll do it, right? What's your take on this? And what does your platform provide? What type of support can they access? How can they reach you? You know, those kind of things. Please, can you share basic tips on corporate governance and, you know, sustainability, or those type of tools that are accessible to SMEs? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ayo, and good morning to everyone. When you need corporate governance now, because that is what would position your business in a place where it is set to grow and to be sustainable when given the chance. Okay, so I think we need to take a step back and then talk about what corporate governance means. There's nothing really complicated about it. It's basically just a set of rules and processes that you need to put in place for your business to be structured and to thrive. It also helps to balance the interest of all your stakeholders, what your shareholders want, what your investors want, what your customers want, and it gives you a bit of credibility. But the most important thing people don't seem to realize about corporate governance is that it gives you a chance to plan and implement strategy. And what this does for you is that it puts you in a position where you cannot be boxed up. You cannot be in a corner because you've had time to think things through. So you're kind of working from the end to the very beginning. So the first thing I'm going to say is that corporate governance is a journey. As long as you have a business, you need to keep putting your business in a position to implement good corporate governance skills. And also, you also need to approach it from a proactive point of view. You know, we don't have to wait until our regulators and, you know, the industry says you need to register your business or you need to have a corporate account. You know, that's when you're supposed to do all of these things. As a business owner, the onus is on you to know what you need to put in place for your business to thrive and for your business to be recognized as a legitimate organization. So try to be proactive when approaching corporate governance. Yes, you may not have the competence in-house, but there are free resources online and there are affordable resources online. And going back to what you said, my organization actually has a platform called the MSME Standards. You could visit www.msmestandards.com. What this does is that it's a platform where MSMEs can visit and then, first of all, try to figure out where they are on this corporate governance journey. So how good are your current practices with regards to corporate governance? And then once you rate yourself, you can then access a list of service providers that ranges from people that will register your business, internal auditors, people that can do policies for you, you know, all of those things. You necessarily don't have to burden yourself with it if you don't have the competence in-house, but it is definitely something that can be achieved for each and every single SME, and they are affordable. So my first recommendation is approach corporate governance from a conformance perspective rather than compliance. Compliance is, oh, if I don't do this thing, there are going to be punitive repercussions. But conformance is basically a voluntary pursuit of excellence. So I know where I want my business to be in 5 to 10 years, and therefore I'm going to do these things. Also, the other thing I'm going to talk about real quickly is leadership. Sunday spoke about something like that, and I was super excited to hear him already talking about some of the things I was going to talk about. Choosing your leadership structure is very important. They're like the steering wheel of your organization. You need to be strategic about it. You know, there's really no need to put sentiments. This guy is going to be the managing director. Please, you need to choose your leadership structure strategically. If you are really a small organization who do not have a board, you can have a management team or have an advisory committee. And these are people that you need to think about how their competence, their experience, their skill set is going to help your organization get to the point where you want it to be. So say, for example, I want to open a bakery. I am going to make sure that one of my board members is either a chartered accountant or an internal auditor, because I know that I have to do bookkeeping, do a bit of cash flow projections, and do internal audit. So I know that they could get me that maybe pro bono or at a very reduced cost. So these are things that you need to think about. Please and please put your Prioritize skill and experience over sentiment. I'm not saying that some of your family members may not be useful, but please, you need to be strategic in choosing your leadership structure. And then also, real quickly, I'm going to touch on financial documentation and reporting. Mr. Gunubi already spoke about it. This is the major thing that would interest your investors. That will practically be the first thing they will ask you for your books, because how you manage your own money is a reflection of how you're going to manage their own money, and it shows credibility. So you need to legalize and document all interactions, both financial and non-financial. If you're a non-financial institution, please go and do your SCUMO registration with EFCC. It basically just shows that you don't subscribe to money laundering. Do your bookkeeping, do your cash flow projection, separate your personal account from your corporate account, make financially intelligent decisions. So if I have a makeup studio, I would like to diversify and earn a second income, because that would come in handy. So I'll probably think maybe I should introduce a bit of manicure and pedicure, or maybe a spa, and then please save for your business. A lot of companies make that mistake. Oh, it's a very small business, I really don't have to save. Your money, no matter how little it is, would come in handy when you are looking to expand. So, and then there's also communication. I mean, corporate governance is a wide range of things that we need to talk about. And I'm not really sure I have the time to talk about it now, but I'm going to recap by saying that be proactive about it, conform rather than comply, choose your leadership structure carefully and strategically, and pay close attention to your financial decision and your documentation. Hopefully, when we come back to the question and answer session, I would have more time to address some other areas of corporate governance. But in the meantime, please visit www.smestandards.com. There are experts on there that would be willing to help you on your corporate governance journey. So thank you, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Kiton. When we come back, because I found that MSME standard platform very lovely. I remember I did a thread on it, and that thread really went, very viral because of the elements that MSMEs found on that platform. So when we come back, we'll talk about it. We'll also talk about, how difficult it can be for MSMEs, because you mentioned, setting up the board of advisory or board of directors, and how difficult it can be for MSMEs to also find people. You see, all of these things are interconnected. It's like a system, of integrated connecting dots, because, for example, if I set up a small company now, it's going to be difficult for me to get somebody like Nkiru to come and be on the board, or someone like, Yinka to come and be on the board. A lot of people are very skeptical to be on the board of small companies, so again, we have to discuss more about all of those things. So if I can't get the big shots, who should I be looking at? What are the dynamics? All those kind of things we'll discuss more, when we get back. Let's go to Adesua. Adesua is a tech person. Adesua, you work with one of Nigeria's foremost tech companies, and you guys have done a lot of projects to support MSMEs. Can you speak to us about basic tools that SMEs can deploy that can help them, better manage their businesses, and then you can also talk about, because I'm very interested in that platform that your business also has. It helps because it keys into what Uncle was saying about financial management, because financial management really starts from basic things like invoicing, right? Including your tax in your invoice, recording your sales, all those things. And I know that you have a fantastic platform that also integrates all of these elements. But speaking about your platform and then other technology tools, can you talk to us? Adesu, I think you need to increase your lightning because your face keeps going on and off, so that our participant will not be scared that maybe you are disappearing, maybe it's rapture. Okay, Adesu, please.
All right, thank you very much, Ayo, for that introduction. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to SMEs who are very important and contribute to the Nigerian economy. And on behalf of System Specs Limited, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. We're always passionate about SMEs. And in fact, we have started researching years before the pandemic happened on technology tools, simple tools that SMEs can adopt to improve their business processes for better productivity and position them rightly for growth. Whilst the growing number of SMEs, especially with the current realities forced on us by the global pandemic, recognize the importance of digitization. The successful inclusion of digital tools into everyday business processes has remained an obstacle. In fact, small businesses, there's in this part of the world where we are, there's a low adoption of technology because of so many thoughts of how technology is. So many people define technology in some few years back. If you ask anybody, what is technology? They will say, you hear things like sophisticated, expensive, high-end, for very complicated businesses. But today, technology has taken a new shape. And we as a forward-thinking company, we've come up with tools specifically for SMEs.
I hope rapture has not happened.
No, no. I don't think so. Probably her connection.
Okay, I think that Adesua's connection has gone off. These are part of the infrastructure issues that Nigerian SMEs have. When the tech ladies network can go off, then you know that we're in trouble for those MSMEs that are in Ogbomoso. You know, we have a lot of people dying in because this is our first time we are going virtual. People are dying from Benue and Sokoto and Zamfara where network. You have to go on the mountain to see network. You know, Adesua is right in VI and she's having network issues. So don't be discouraged if you're having network issues with your business. There's hope. Adesua, are you back? Adesua, you're on mute. Adesua, you're on mute.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you very much. Sorry about that network glitch. Yeah, as I was saying, by Nigeria. As I was saying, imagine a tool, a technology or a digital tool that allows you as a business to showcase your product services without any additional cost. A tool that allows you to receive payment for your products and services without having to send or post your account numbers through any social media platform. A tool that gives you the power to confirm payment on the go by your customers with full details of what has been paid for without boundaries of location. A tool that allows you to store customer details as required by your business for effective customer or relationship management and business projection. Most of all, a very easy to use tool and the most affordable tool on the market today. That tool is not far-fetched. The tool is right here, and it's called paylink.ng. Paylink.ng is a product of System Specs Limited, built with a deep understanding of the peculiarities of running a small business in Nigeria. Our experience and products out there makes research before we come up with anything or recommend or introduce any platform that will serve any aspect of the economy. And I'm not saying it just because I work there. I'm saying it because that's actually what we put in thorough work to ensure that whatever we're coming out with meets the needs and the demands of the market. Paylink.ng is specifically developed for SME businesses. Today, I see a lot of SMEs. I want to place, like the other day, I wanted to place an order for my husband's birthday cake. And I went to Instagram as usual, because that's like a platform a lot of people showcase their products and services to sell across the globe. I went there and I checked and I saw a lady and I saw the reviews made sense. I ordered for cake, but it took her almost 10 hours to respond to my request for a quote for a type of cake I want. And that lost me. She lost a potential customer because I couldn't immediately make a decision based on what I was seeing on her page. But with PayLink, even if you have already an Instagram or a social media followership that makes you comfortable doing your business there, you can activate the PayLink solution on that your social media page to enable people immediately view your product, view your items, and select what they want, pay you. You on your mobile phone, as simple as using a smartphone, can confirm what they paid for. You don't need to ask them to send you a screenshot of payments they've made, which can be very tedious for customers making a purchase. And they can even specify if they want a delivery to be done and pay for the delivery. You will confirm it from your end, and immediately the good is dispatched, the good of product is dispatched for delivery. Imagine that kind of customer service relationship or customer service. It will definitely keep your customers. It will help you build the customer retention base, and your customers will be glued to coming back to purchase products or services from you because they've been able to see that when they just request, they are able to get what they want. So I was chatting with a friend the other day, and she said the difference between the large enterprises, big companies, and small businesses is technology. And like I've just made it simple, technology does not have to be something complicated. It is an everyday tool you can use to improve your business processes for faster turnaround time. And with paylink.ng, you have nothing to worry about. If you fall into the category of business and SME or businesses that don't have any online presence, my advice to you is you have to go with the flow. You have to join the bandwagon. The train is moving. You have to quickly get your business online, and PayLink is just what you need. You can create your online store. You don't need to invest in building a website or invest in any infrastructure on your mobile phone. We understand that it can be very expensive to manage solutions. So we had that feedback before we built PayLink, and you can just go to your mobile phone, take a picture of your product, upload it, and share a link. Somebody in Canada, in the US, in wherever they are, can look at your product. And as long as you have an effective logistic plan, which I'm sure there's been a lot of talk around logistics also, which will be addressed, you can, and you can deliver goods to that region. You don't have to limit your business to just within your area or your local store or wherever you are. So PayLink allows you to display your product online for people to see your items, set your online store. You can describe your product. I don't need to call you or DM you to understand what your product can do for me as a potential buyer. Just looking at your page, I can confirm all the information I need. I immediately can make payment. That's still a huge challenge in the SME business today. Even the ones that are online, they still face that challenge of receiving payments. And this is what PayLink has come in to solve. Once I view your product, I can click on the product and immediately pay you using any of the channels of payment available. And one thing we are known for is ensuring that we provide access to customers to be able to pay our merchants at any point in time. So we have made available friendly and convenient payment channels for people to be able to make payments for whatever it is they're interested in purchasing from any merchant on our platform.
Thanks a lot, Adesua. Yeah, thanks a lot, Adesua. I know that we have almost 300 or thereabouts of these are participants who have registered, on that platform, and I use that platform for my business, and I know that it's a beautiful one. So we'll come back to that. We'll also be discussing the integration, so end-to-end support that they can get, because the thing about SMEs and technology adoption is that it's difficult for them to resonate with specifically how that technology thing can support them in the micro transactions that they are doing. So they see tech as big, fancy stuff. So if we are able to simplify to say that your that sale that you are making, this is how it supports you. This is how it then integrates into accounting. This is how this happens. This is how that happens. When we also come back to Mr. Okunbi, maybe we also talk about, I love how you mentioned about Excel. You know, so for example, what can, instead of using Excel, what can Paylink do for you in terms of reporting? You know, those kind of connection. We'll come back to it at the second round. But now I want to introduce Mr. Babatunde Ukera. If you are active on social media, or especially Twitter, you would see that FCCPC has arguably been one of the most brilliant and shining light agencies of this administration since 2015. Very responsive online. You know, social media behavior is also very volatile and very toxic, you know, but somehow FCCPC has managed to adjust and cope with the toxicity, and very responsive. Once things come up, you know, they quickly intervene, and we see them following it to the end. Several examples. We had the case of what's these guys that sell crispy, is it Krispy Kreme or what's their name? You know, that they were selling expired food, and immediately FCCPC sealed it off. We have the case of one doctor now who, I'm not a lawyer, I don't want to be preempting court this thing, but you know, but these are publicly available information before they sue us. But you know, we had this lady who's doing surgery, and you know, there have been several complaints. Again, you know, we've seen Dr. Ukera personally leading the charge in court, you know, on behalf of the people. And you know, it's such a great, you know, honor to have you here with us. I would like him to welcome him. Unfortunately, we are not in this thing. Would have said give him a round of applause, but it's okay. You can send your claps virtually. You know, Mr. Ukera is going to be talking to us about the importance of delivering quality service to your customers, why it is important, what regulation requires of you, because this country, we just believe anything goes, but not everything goes until you are called out. You know, how can FCCPC support SMEs against oppressive suppliers or vendors? How can FCCPC also support the public against, you know, reckless SMEs? You know, thank you so much, Mr. Ukera.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thanks for inviting me to the Lagos SME Bootcamp. I haven't been in a bootcamp in a while, and this is truly a bootcamp. I had to get up early on a Saturday. And I think I thought this was rather strange, because you had the keynote somewhat at the end of presentations. But I think that's something I'm going to take away to the things I do also, because listening to everybody else has been so beneficial. And so at the end of the day, everything they've said is noteworthy, and I'm going to be using it as key in other places. I suppose that should be the beginning and the end of a keynote address. But quite frankly, I think that there are a few things that we probably need to rethink from an SME standpoint. And it looks like we put all the focus on what the regulatory environment can change without thinking much about what the business strategy itself can change. And my greatest example of how SMEs work is the United States. I mean, and the one thing that the most popular thing about business in the United States and the growth is it's Main Street, not Wall Street. And so traveling through that country, literally every small neighborhood has a main street. There's always a business street, even in the small villages. And that's where you'd find the grocery, you'd find the mom and pop Chinese restaurant, this laundromat and all of that, the small businesses. Together, small businesses employ more people, generate far more revenue for government, and indicate far more growth. I mean, all the chains in the US, whether it's Walmart, whether it's Target, and all put together, can't sell nearly as much as what the corner stores or the gas station sells in grocery. And so we also have to think what can be done differently? And we would say that things like access to credit, regulatory environment are vital. Yeah, and they are. But that's only half the story. One of the things that the United States is most vibrant for also is a very robust antitrust regulatory environment. Why do you think it's important to have such a robust antitrust regulatory environment? The simple reason is because you want to remove entry barriers and make sure that the playing field is level. And so the little guy who just wants to do his Chinese restaurant and serve, have only 8 seating available, and the fellow who wants to do his grocery shop right on the corner of the street can stay in the market, not necessarily want to be a Walmart or want to be a major Panda Express, and they thrive, they succeed. And so we must also think about our approach to business. And one quick example I'll give is prior to when we had competition legislation in Nigeria, a small company, and I always give this example, in California that does fuzzy drinks, sodas, said to me that they would love to do business in Nigeria. That is something that happens starting in September all the way to the end that just makes consumption impossible. And that they've looked at the weather, they really cannot figure out why we consume so much starting in September all the way through December. And that their research has been in the Lagos, Ogun, Ibadan axis. And they're not interested in doing business anywhere else. And so they couldn't figure out why we drink more soft drinks starting September. And they had spent some money doing research. They had gone to Nielsen to look at the numbers. And I said, you could have asked me this question without any research. That's the time when we start celebrating Owambes. We're starting in September, and by the time you get to December, every day of the week is a celebration. And so that's what's driving consumption. And they said to me, would love to put a plant just to serve that area. We don't want to sell our drinks anywhere outside that area. But there are barriers to entry. There's only one German company that makes very good bottling lines that would work in places like Nigeria with the right support. And we can buy from the company, but they have an exclusive understanding with some big ones in the area for support. And so we would have to be referred to an off-market secondary supporter. And so for me, that's an exclusionary clause. That's a restrictive covenant. And so the first thing I attacked when we had the new laws, I wanted to see all the agreements between bottling companies and their equipment suppliers. I wanted to make sure that that clause that restricts service to a few is removed. And so that's what makes things happen. The whole purpose, from an objective standpoint, it's statutory and right there in the law that one of the primary objectives of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act is promoting small businesses. So, but how do we get to that point? We can look at everything from a regulatory standpoint, but if we don't look at things from a strategic standpoint, we will not make the best decisions ultimately. And so how does antitrust work so well in the United States? For instance, you've got what you call private antitrust action. That's where companies are able to sue other companies for violating the law. In Nigeria, still, most of Europe and most of the rest of the world, including Nigeria, is still more of a regulatory responsibility. But if there's one thing, you know your space. The regulator is only as effective as the information it gets. And there's no meritorious argument for a regulator that's going to know everything going on in the industry. It's just impossible. Look at the number of things you do that you conceal, and I don't know. So why would you think I should know what anybody else does if you can conceal some of the things you do from me as a regulator? And so part of cleaning up industry is information from businesses. But most small-scale businesses focus so much more on a product. And I say that the most important thing to focus on is a process. And it's almost an African curse for us to focus on the product. And that's why some of our small scale businesses have not been able to enter into the global market, because you focus on the product. The sheer number of us who use exactly the same tailor or seamstress and take a material to him intermittently and take one to him and say, you know what, same thing you did for me that other time, can you do it again? Same measurements, same thing, it doesn't come back the same way. The reason is because we're focusing on the product. Both for the business and for the regulatory environment, we must move to focusing on the process. If you manage the process well, you won't need to worry about the product each time. And so, how are we going to get a small scale business in Nigeria to manufacture 300 white shirts of 6 inches collar and 34 inches sleeves, and you'll be consistent across the board? There's no way you can do it focusing on each product. The only way you're going to be able to do it is the process. And that's why I thought that all the presentations, starting from Nkiru all the way back to Mr. Ogunubi, demonstrates that ultimately it's a process issue, whether it's your payment process, your engagement process, your human resource process, your leadership process. You just have to focus on the process. When you have a process that works, you can almost be assured of the outcome. Secondly, in other parts of the world, people are moving towards boutique services. Boutique services. I'm a lawyer, and I'm seeing the move from big law firms to boutique law firms, where clients are looking for skill, affordability, nimbleness, and most of all, attentiveness and responsiveness. The smaller a business is, quite frankly, I think the more manageable those key factors of quality assurance and responsiveness and attentiveness. But it's not what we pay attention to as a small business. We just seem to pay attention on the people we're fighting and how to get our products out. Whereas we can just carve out our market. People are looking for exactly the same thing if they can find it cheaper from someone who is more responsive. The last speaker gave an example of ordering a cake and how much time it was taking. That shows you that consumers are becoming very discriminatory and exercising their prerogative to make a choice based on how they feel they've been treated. And so, consumer protection is not ancillary to your business. Baking cake is not a focus of your business at the expense of sensitivity and responsiveness to the people who buy the cake. As a matter of fact, quality assurance, service standards, and responsiveness are the core of any business, whether you're generating and spooling power or you're frying or making small chops. And that's what small businesses must focus on. And I'll close by saying how small businesses can engage the regulatory space. From a consumer protection standpoint, from a quality assurance standpoint, there are no gives. There are no multiple standards, no dual standards. Being a small business will not be a defense. If the consumer is dissatisfied, just like you said, if I get to know it, I'm out. As a lawyer and as a litigator, I would say that I go to court prepared every time. It doesn't matter to me if opposing counsel is a senior few months ago, and if she was up against me in court, I would go with all my guns blazing. She's counsel on the other side, I'm counsel on the other side. And that's what small businesses must recognize, that when it comes to those standards, the regulator isn't going to cut a break when it comes to satisfaction of consumers. Now, the other side of our regulatory work is competition regulation, maintaining a level playing field. Small businesses now need to pay more attention to the businesses of their competitors. The big competitors, your competitors, the big businesses, they pay so much attention to your business. They know exactly what you're doing. They know what truck comes into your loading bay, they know when it goes out, they actually know the volume of your products in the market. On a recent enforcement activity, I saw a chart on the wall of a big distribution company. That chart on the wall was in an office in that distribution company for the manufacturer, and manufacturer distribute, took an office in the distributor's warehouse. Not the distributor. The manufacturer took an office in the distributor's warehouse. And there was a chart there. And the chart had the names and the brands of all their competitors, monitoring their volumes in the market, because that's how they respond. That's how they price. And so are small businesses also doing the same thing? Are you monitoring what your competitors are doing in the market? And are you gathering intelligence? You gave examples of some of the enforcement work we've done. We can only succeed in these things when we have right intel. If a small business will tell us, listen up, we know that our competitor is doing this, we're going to check it out. And competitive behavior is the most subtle and subliminal behavior companies engage in. We will not know it just by knowing. Many times we get tips. And so small businesses now need to pay attention to their competitors. What are they doing? What are they doing wrong? And so I would leave you with two things: associate and monitor. Every trade association that I've gone to, whether it's Flour Millers of Nigeria, AFBT, Association of Food, Beverage, and Tobacco Employers, I never see the small businesses there. And so it's the big ones, and I understand why. They can afford it, they have the time, and they can be the secretariat. And so they spend time associating. And so even if you will not associate with them, you have to associate with each other. Sharing notes, exchanging information, engaging the regulator. Look at what you're complaining about right now, about a new regime for logistics business. The only thing that will get the only way that will get the appropriate attention is associating. This morning, I have received text, emails, tweets, and DMs in excess of 40 about this. And so it has come to my attention. But just imagine all of this 40 and the several going on in different places, coming together as one voice of small businesses. You're going to get everybody's attention. You will get everybody's attention. Meanwhile, this is not going to be discussed at the big logistics trade association where MDS and all the other major logistics companies are. Because what is paying a renewal of, new entry, 20 million, renewal of 4 million to them is nothing. As a matter of fact, how do you know that they're not at the bottom of this? How do you know that they're not figuring a way to introduce a fee that constitutes an entry barrier to limit competition? Because the small businesses have become so nimble, they have just 2 or 3 motorcycles, 1 small truck, they're able to do exactly what the big businesses do for a fraction of the price. And so, just as you're thinking about the strategy for your business to go well, you must think about the strategy for the environment for your business to thrive. And so I'd say, finally, associate with each other and monitor what the competition is doing. Thank you very much for inviting me, and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, sir. That was like taking us back to the classroom. Every time I've heard Mr. Ukera speak, he's always taking the audience to the classroom, irrespective of the type of audience. Thank you so much for doing this, sir. Thank you so much. At some point I was worried that I hope that he's not going to get all our SMEs lost with his high level cerebral, but he brought it down to how it affects us. Even as whatever it is we're doing, baking cakes and talking about associations, sir. I mean, information just reaching me has it that the minister has intervened and that logistics thing has been halted. But because we made quite a lot of noise yesterday. In fact, this morning I've spoken to media people and all that, and we were planning to write a petition, talking about association using this umbrella. We are still going to write that petition because that halting is not enough, right? You see, for NNPC, it is still understandable if NNPC is as a competitor, is operating as a competitor and as a regulator. It can still be understandable because upstream oil and gas is you have to protect the interest of the country, and it is JV structure and all those kind of things. But in an environment, in a sector where we have so many SMEs creating jobs and serving as the backbone, there's this blood flow for the entire retail business. You can't be a competitor and still be a player and then be stifling the growth of these smaller players. It cannot happen, and we are not going to let that happen. No, it's not going to happen because, I mean, it is totally ridiculous that NIPOS will wake up with that kind of regulation. It is unfair, it is disgusting, and it is incredible. And that is why young people are leaving this country, sir. And please expect that we're going to send you this petition, we're going to send it to the National Assembly, and we're going to circulate this in all the newspapers. It is totally ridiculous, and it's unfair to young people. These are young people. Last night, I got so many calls. People who are in the entertainment business, for example, all of them have become jobless this period. A lot of them are bought logistics. People who make food, people who sell stuff in deliveries, a lot of them went out of business and only relied on logistics. And then we started impounding on logistics because we are trying to satisfy. This is anti-competitive behavior because NIPOS is a competition and they are then, clamping down on their competitors. That's why I said NNPC is understandable, because NNPC most times also serves as enablers because they are joint ventures with their competitors anyway. But in this case, NIPOS is not a joint venture, and NIPOS is then clamping down. We are going to send you these things out. If we can sponsor a bill, if we can, I don't know, but we're going to make sure that we chase this matter. And yes, I wanted to say something.
I look forward to receiving that from you, but at least I can tell you that it has already gotten my attention and the attention of the Commission, and we're proceeding one way or the other. And it also validates the whole point about association, because obviously what has happened is that this started out and everybody started contacting each other informally. Add your voice to this, add your voice to this, and now you can see that there has been at least an initial response. And so that's what associating.
Yes, I totally agree. It's important. There is a word that if we come together, there is a lot of large numbers. If we have a large number of people saying the same thing, it resonates. It may take a while, but it resonates faster. So thank you so much for that, sir. We have quite a lot of questions here, but there are still a lot of things that we need to discuss, and we are now going to go into the panel session. But there's something that quite interests me. Let me speak a bit to business modeling. When we were talking, especially with regards to competition and the market and all that. And I've noticed a lot of times that in the environments that they play, especially when they want to adopt technology. Because you believe that once you adopt technology, you are targeting a fancy market. So let's say, for example, you are selling, what can I use as an example? Let's say you are selling this teaspoon, and this teaspoon costs, let's say 2,000 naira in the market. And then because you're selling it on technology in Lagos market, this teaspoon is 2,000 naira. And then you put it on the social media, and this teaspoon, you suddenly price it as 5,000 naira because you believe that your competitor are the other fancy online stores and all these guys who are selling things for 3,500, 4,000, the boutiques and all that. But you forget that your primary competitor is the Lagos market, where everybody can go in and buy this teaspoon from the same place that you're buying it, you know. And a lot of businesses then start off that way. They price themselves out of competition, and then they fail, of course, in addition to so many other elements. Now, this is an unsustainable model, right? And there is a lot of, aside pricing, there is also a lot of overestimation of the market. Businesses are unable to adequately understand the markets that we play in. So, for example, you live in Kano, or let's just Sokoto. You live in Sokoto, but you want to estimate your market, and you are using the population. You are saying Nigeria has high population, literacy rate is XYZ, the telephone penetration rate is about 80%. You are using all those demographics, but you are forgetting that Sokoto has almost 70% poverty rate, has almost 68 or so percent illiteracy rate. So half of those, about an overwhelming majority of those in your immediate environment, are not going to be able to buy your product because they are poor. And aside that, if you are a technology business, already majority of them will not even be able to buy your product, because there are a lot of people in these larger markets that you are estimating that do not feed into your target market. And I always give these examples of our parents. Our parents are all technology adopters, and they go into the statistics of technology adoption. So when you are selling technology products and you are using technology adoption as statistics, for example, you will be using people like my mother, who will never buy anything online, right? You know, aside using WhatsApp and Facebook and sending broadcasts. So you have those type of people. So, but this tech, so those type of overestimation of your markets and your target market and your competition is a major thing that affects businesses and how they adopt unsustainable models right from the beginning. And there are a lot of examples. I have these conversations online. Even the supposedly large tech startups, a lot of them have failed. They had to pull out of the market. You know, we had they had to close down. OLX had to pull out. A lot of them, right? How do you advise MSMEs who are still smaller? Because some of them, when they get bigger, they start raising funds and they just forget the sustainability of the model. Anyway, if you can raise funds, after 5 years, we exit, everybody's happy. So the focus moves away from sustainability to fundraising. But for those who want to be sustainable, you know, it is very important that we speak to how they can build this sustainability. Uncle Yinka, please, can you help us address this? Uncle Yinka, you are on mute.
All right. Okay. I thought you were giving a campaign speech. It was a very long, very long one there, and I think I was hoping that you didn't call me to answer that question, but here I am. Yeah, the reality is that doing a business requires that you are able to take in all the data that you need to be able to ensure sustainability. You know, I've listened to what, you know, everybody said. I think, and I want to thank Mr. Irukera as well, you know, for his very insightful presentation. You know, I also checked out Kiton's website, fantastic website. You know, I know Adesuwa's people very well, so I won't add to their publicity yet. But everything that everybody has said points to one thing: our ability to be able to capture, you know, data and make that data relevant. So you're talking, I mean, for instance, Ayo, about the poverty rate in the north. You know, how does it affect, you know, the market there? You know, the overpricing of the market and so many things. You know, they're very important. But the first thing I really want to emphasize is the value for data the value for data. I don't know whether it's Nigerian or maybe it's just, you know, our own, maybe it's global, you know, but we don't value data. We really do not value data. And I give simple examples. Simple examples like, if you go to, if you are driving by yourself and you get to a petrol station and you ask them to fill up the tank, most Nigerians don't sit down in the car, fill up the tank, they fill it up, they put their, and then they say it's 5,000 naira. You give them cash and you drive off. What you've just done is that you've lost data because you gave cash, you didn't get a receipt, you've lost that information. That information has no way of being able to help you. But if you gave them an ATM and said, bring your ATM card, let me pay this using my ATM card, what happens is that that transaction is taken out of your bank account. So there's a digital trace of that data to which you can then go back and then input that data into a tool that analyzes that data. Now, Ayo, you know this. What do we do every day in organizations? Well, you go to the office every day. What do? You are entering payment or sales information or insurance information into a software. HR is entering human resource data into a software. Account people are posting something. Fleet is to everybody. That's what we do in an organization. We all enter data, and at some point in a day, in a week, in a month, somebody analyzes that data and takes a decision based on it. And so what you find is that your ability to be able to get your organization to work, to function, to be sustainable, depends on your ability to capture data. And that's where we must have this conversation with MSMEs to say, look, stop this lack of appreciation of data that you do. Stop it. You understand? If you give somebody a job to do, all right. I mean, for me right now, if I have any artisan come to my house to say do something, and they give me a bill, I say give me a bank account. I'm not paying you cash. I'm sending that thing to you by I'm paying it electronically to you. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the person to understand that this information is important to you, not today, but probably in the next 1 year. So that delves into what I said in the beginning about the need for us to be able to ensure that we have information, financial information, that helps us determine the health of our organization. Maybe sometime, before the end, I'll talk about the balance sheet. I know that's one of the things that scares a lot of business, small scale business people. Anyway, just share a simple joke. Whenever I want to get my wife bored about anything, she's an entrepreneur, so she goes into a lot of business. But whenever I want to get her bored about anything, I just talk about the balance sheet, and that conversation ends there. It ends basically there. She's not going to go forward in that conversation because it's like, balance sheet, you people have come again, But look, any SME listening to me today, if you do not understand, if you want to run your business, you want to succeed in it, and you don't, your business obituary is just a couple of years away. And these are the things that we need to know why it's important. And the starting point of this conversation is not the P&L account, it's not the balance sheet, it's not the cash flow statement, it is not financing, it's data. How do you appreciate it? Do you capture it? That's where sustainability comes in. Thank you.
Ayo, can I quickly add?
Yes, please do.
I would like to piggyback on what Mr. Yinka said. Thank you very much, sir. I think something that resonates very well with what Mr. Yinka said is data. You find that most SMEs don't know how to use data to actually interpret business needs, right? I'll take, for instance, somebody in Ibadan, a tailor in Ibadan, right, who's trying to build an app, a tailoring app or an app where people can actually order for, different kind of measurements, different kind of designs, right? And you just build the app without knowing your user personas, right? You're not doing the research on how will the average person in this area of Ibadan like this app, right? What would they want me to incorporate in this app, right? How would they take it? What measures do I have to put in place just so that, things like user interface, things like user design and all that, not putting all that into consideration. And by the time you build such systems or platform without taking the appropriate data, you just wasted time. And at the end of the day, you are saying things like, oh, people are not using it. Oh, I'm not getting enough traction, right? So knowing the right data to use, and also taking into consideration user personas, interviewing people who are going to use it. Who are my end users? Who are the real stakeholders, right? Am I building this for some form of some consultants? How would they like the interface to be? What do they want to see there? What are the features, right? By the time you start putting all that into consideration, and it still boils down to data. How do you get this data? It could even be as a simple survey. And you have many tools online. It could be SurveyMonkey. It doesn't have to be something, big or something like that, right? And you get the right data to interpret whatever it is you are trying to build. I think I just wanted to piggyback on what Mr. Yinka said. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tunde. You are also running a startup, over there in Canada, and I'm sure your startup is largely data-driven because of the kind of things that you have to deal with, people and large, number of people. Because without data, really, you have nothing to capture. You have no decision to make. You're just going to be walking blindly. And I really hope that the SMEs here today would not just think that this is some fancy English language, and they can really work on practical tools that can help them begin to immediately gather data, that can help. So I'll go back to Mrs. Nkuru Olumide Ojo. She still has a lot to say. I've seen her smiling several times in reaction to a few things. And I would like her to zoom in on where she ended during her last speech, and then factor in other elements of what we're discussing. First and foremost, how should SMEs position themselves in the light of all of these things? How, if I am a one-man business or two-man business, how can I adequately position myself from a brand point of view, from a marketing point of view? What's the hard work? What's the hard work that won't make me spend so much if my balance sheet cannot carry it?
Okay. I think that one of the things I missed mentioning was having a standard brand toolkit. And I know that it sounds fancy, but this is no more than your logo. This is no more than giving some thought to the colors that you wish to use to express your brand. This is no more than having a few basics in that toolkit, which is your website. And alongside your website are also your social media handles. Those are the basic, and also an email address. I think that for brands to be taken seriously, it's important that you do have a personalized email address, obviously as an outcome of your website. And I know that there is, people can say to me it's expensive. It no longer is. You can get as little as $3.99 to be able to acquire a standard email address. Now, this is important because I'm not sure what type of business you are in, but we're going to assume that you want to seek a grant. I know that when people start businesses, one of the things they miss doing is exploring the options of financing. People go, very quickly falling into raising capital. Seeking grants is also one good option. And in a bid to seek grants, I feel like the things that I've mentioned in the minimum brand toolbox are the basic minimum you should have. Now, just in terms of getting yourself out there, I don't recommend that you jump out. It's important that you pause and say, what is the singular key message? If no one hears anything I say, what is the one thing that I want to say? Am I a corporate governance expert? What am I? Am I selling a service? Am I selling a product? How do I want to pitch it? And every time I say brand statement, people think it's all fancy. That's not true. It's the one thing that, and you can be a tailor in Ogbomosho, Your brand statement can be speedy delivery. And what it means is that your back-end processes I have doubled up. I can help you deliver to that brand promise. So you have a tailor who's so after you've designed what you believe is your key message, the next thing I want you to do is understand who the target audience is. I found a lot of SMEs going through a cookie-cutter approach. So Mr. Labaja sells small chops and he's on Twitter, and therefore I feel like I need to be on Twitter. Perhaps not. You've got to think about what you're selling. Are you selling clothes? It's difficult to display clothes on Twitter. Perhaps Instagram or Facebook is where you need to be. So I made the point of understanding who your target audience is very critical. Anecdotal will not help you. Your neighbor who sells it and is using the same channels is not the right tool for you. Understand who your target audience is, and what you then do is understand how they consume. And when I talk about understanding how they consume, it's also in the way that you apply the communication, all the way to timing. So let's say I run a business and my target audience are other businesses. I need to think about my channel and choose it appropriately. And let's say I want to choose one social media channel. The man who runs a business, when he wakes up in the morning, between his first 4 hours, there's something we call the connection time. What's he doing? Is that the time he's looking at his phone? What do you want to do? Do you want to be in his face for that short hour? And obviously, you know that, I mean, like a place in Lagos, we'll say there's a drive-through time where all of us are being punished in traffic. And after that, you know, he runs into his business, and then life is quieter in the evening. So you've got to think carefully and think about where it is you want to apply your communication techniques. And then you speak to me about costs. And I also know that, I think it was Dami who spoke about social currency. Actually, I think that in real life, if you have to pay for everything that you have, then you are not wealthy. So you've got to think about how you can lean on people, lean on other people's social currency to be able to build a brand. And one of the key ways I advise SMEs to do is collaboration. So you would find people who have a strong brand and they're having maybe exhibitions or things where ordinarily you know that to get access to that target audience would be very difficult. But if you paid 10,000, 15,000, 7,500, you would have access to that audience. So it's to think about how you collaborate, and it's to think about how it is that you lean on other people to be able to get your brand messaging out. Quit thinking that you need a billboard. To be honest, if I find an SME on a billboard, then there's something inordinately wrong. What's he looking for on a billboard? The cost of acquisition shouldn't be so high at this level. Direct marketing or direct mailing works like magic. People do push up notifications. There are 1 million techniques and tactics, but let's not go in there. The principle still remains understanding your single and finding your single brand statement, understanding your target audience explicitly. There was a comment about data. Everything we do, we're leaving footprints and leaving data. And that's how come. And I'll give you a quick example. I remember many years ago when I was doing my master's in the UK, I had received an email, and the email was from a cinema near the house. And he said to me, no, the pop-up said, "Where have you been? I've missed you." I mean, I thought, who is this person that thinks I'm so important that has missed me? And what was it? I had been going to the cinema regularly and I just hadn't been. So they noticed enough to realize that they needed to connect to me. So it's in the phrasing, it's in the approach, very critical that you have the right approach. And to be honest, I find that people are very eager for inorganic growth. I always recommend grow organically, and then obviously you can put in a few interventions to help you shore up. So, I mean, the brand toolkit is what I'm going to leave you with. The brand statement is so critical. I'm looking at data, collaborating, leaning on people, and then obviously as you do that is also building your social capital. I think the last thing I'm going to say, two last things. There's one, measuring impact. You find a lot of people do a lot of spray and then they don't measure what the impact is. It's so important. If you're putting time, even via your social media handles to sell, you should say, I put in 4 hours today, and out of the 4 hours, I got 4 requests and I responded to 10. And this was the outcome from that. So important to measure. And I think that, look, I say it to everyone all the time, you can be anything. And social media allows for posturing. You can posture anything, but if someone experiences you and there's a dissonance between that experience and what you promise, then you don't have a brand. Thanks, Ayo.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was a fantastic closing. Because everybody postures. I mean, for example, people think I'm a millionaire on Twitter, even though, you know,
So your currency
because,
can be a millionaire's currency, don't worry.
Amen. This is not a religious gathering, but it's important I say.
Amen to that.
It's important I say amen to that. But let me take you on the toolkit, just as I took Mr. Inka on the template. Is there a go-to, or do you have a guide that you use for your mentees, or is there an easy, adaptable guide, that some of the members of our community who may be interested or who we are able to shortlist using certain parameters can have access to, that they can work on, because it's a continuous community, and we want to start engaging them on a monthly basis. We can adapt some of these things that they can adapt so that we can monitor their performance.
Yes, I mean, I call it the minimum viable brand toolkit, and it's in a presentation, it's 10-slide presentation I've prepared. So what's going to happen is I would send it to you via email, and then you can send it out to them. But I think that one of my hugest pet peeves in life is someone who's applying for a grant, and obviously in the course of my work, I would see many people approach us as a business, as a corporate, in Nigeria and South Africa, and you're asking someone to give you $10 million and your name is joke@yahoo.com. Are you for real? Are you really for real? So those are the minimum things that you need to do. Then you don't have a website. They need to struggle and look for your footprints, align it to your name, be matching. The world is so quick. No one has time to be matching you to authenticate who you are. No one has that time.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. Digital footprints these days, I think people don't understand digital footprint. Look, if you are here today, please, you can hear this. Open an Instagram account, open a LinkedIn account, write articles on LinkedIn, write articles on Medium, write articles and send them on whatever it is that you do. Send them to the cable, send them to Nairametrics. These guys are going to publish for you if your article is good enough. Just leave some footprint, open a website. I mean, just as she said, look, if you use Zoho Mail, if you are less than 5 people, they can do it for you for free. There are some platforms that if your business is that micro, you can even get free domain emails. You can pay $10, $5. Please leave these footprints and make sure that you have a traceable record, please, so that money bags like Mrs. Olumide Ojo can help you when the time comes and you need to raise.
This is the appropriate time for that amen you chorused. This is the time.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go back to Keaton. Keaton, a lot. So I want you to talk more about having a board of directors, having board of advisors, right? For small businesses now, which works best at what point in time, and how can you effectively manage them? If I have just a small business, these guys I may not be able to really pay them for meeting regularly, and I may need more of their time. How can I convince them? What are the other tools that I can deploy? All those kind of things. Quickly, please, 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Ayo. Okay, so I'm going to start by saying that the foundation of a building determines how high the building can go. So if you pay close attention to an effort into, putting things in place in such a way that your business can grow faster, that would help. In terms of board of directors, so they are like there are different degrees of businesses and there are different sizes. There are some businesses, like you said, that can't afford to pay, people sitting allowance and all of these other things that, a board requires. But then you can have a small advisory committee. Again, I say, you are like, there's this theory of saying you're like 4 persons away from who you need or who you want to connect to. So, and you can make those connections by leveraging on the social currency that Dami spoke about, and then sell your vision to them. So this is where all the efforts that you have put in will come into place. So like you said, do you even look like a credible organization or an organization that someone would want to be a board on? But if you've taken your time to put all the structures that you need in place to show that, okay, we are ethical, we mean business, and we are in this for the long haul, then it will be easier for you to communicate, the value of coming on board this ship, even if it's without, costs. At the moment, you can tell them, okay, I'm still a small business, but this is the projection of where I see myself in the next 5 years. And I promise you that if you stick with me, then I can offer you X, Y, Z. So SMEs should not feel under pressure. They shouldn't be under pressure to have a board right from the get-go. You can have an advisory committee. That would work. You can even have just a leadership team. As long as there are layers of approval, there's objectivity, there is a diverse group of people in the board or in the leadership structure that you have who can help you achieve your goal. I think that would be the best place to start. So it is in knowing that, fine, there's a role of corporate governance in choosing your board, but there are also advice to SMEs. Yes, you may not be able to afford a board now or even have the right dynamics in terms of your business to do that now, but you can start small by having an advisory committee. It could be your friends, but who have relevant skills that can help your business achieve what you're hoping to achieve in small term, medium term, long term. So that's what I would advise. That would be my advice to small businesses.
Okay,
Can
thank
I
you.
just lean into?
Yes, please.
Can I just lean into something Kito has said? Only because I saw a question around governance, and
brilliant! Yes.
I'd just like us to demystify it a bit. And I know that Kito has done a great job of it. I feel like governance for an SME is just to say to everyone, run your business in a way that when someone brings a torchlight at night, you will not be embarrassed. Run your business in that way that if a man says, I have 4,000 naira even, I'd like to give it to Olumide Ojo and Sons, he can give it to me because he has looked at my business and he has seen that all of my outflow is not to buy a weave, or all of my outflow is not to buy alcohol to drink. So that's just it. Don't be frightened about, setting up a border, like it also says, paying them. Just think about establishing processes. And it can be, especially in the way that you use your funds, whether they're funds that are coming in or they're funds that are going out, putting approval processes, putting, memos, communication. That's really what it is. Don't be hung up on having a chairman and you'll get there, but just understand that what you're doing is running your business in a way that if anyone shines a light on it, you are good to go. And thanks,
you're welcome. And then if I could quickly add another thing, I saw the question about most SMEs being a husband and wife thing. Okay, so one of the codes of corporate governance actually advised that you limit your number of family members to 2. So, that you need to bring more independent people into your business so that they can bring objectivity into your business. There's no sentiment of, family blood coming in between both of you, but you need to limit the amount of people that you bring into your business in terms of familiar relationships. So like Nkiru said, I think that the major thing to do is start. Don't look at it as a big thing that you can achieve. Take your time, and then if you feel like this thing is looking like Greek, you really cannot understand, again, there are free and affordable resources online like the MSME standards. People will help you demystify it, break it into simpler terms in terms of the steps you need to take per time, and then you just go from there. As long as you start the journey, you're good to go. So that's what I would wrap up with.
Thank you so much for that, Kiton. Let's go to Dami, then we'll come to Adesua. Damilare.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Damila, a lot of, I was speaking, I mentioned, the last time that you spoke, how MSMEs, behave or misbehave online. And because they do that with their handles, they put their, they put their currency in the negative. How would you, what do you suggest or how do you advise that um, social, how do you advise that SMEs utilize social media platforms to maximize, their social currency? And in terms of association, which Mr. Yokora spoke about earlier, a lot of people will tell you that they can't even afford certain levels of association. What are the other alternatives that you think that, they can adopt?
Thank you for that question. And I think it's safe to start by saying a lot of people get online and forget that they are not invincible, right? Like people know you're offline, people can easily trace you. Being online is just a medium of conversation, medium of exchange. There's still a life outside that, and we've seen series of stories where people say certain things online and it has a great effect on their businesses offline. So, how do you navigate that space? First of all, I think it's always nice to have a niche. And I think it's pretty convenient coming from someone like myself who has none. And I just go on there and just, make everyone laugh and whatnot. But ultimately, if you run a serious business or you think you run a serious business, because there's a difference. Some people run businesses that think they're serious and some people actually run serious businesses. But if you find yourself in either of those brackets, one is find a niche. There's no reason why you're selling hair or shirts and whatnot and you're always insulting people on Instablog. That doesn't really align. You could go in there, read, contribute if you can, and if you can't, it's okay to read and pass. Some people always feel the need to say something. No, being quiet is okay online. Understand that fact. Secondly, how do you find yourself in circles where you on a normal day wouldn't be able to? Again, the way I think about social currency is how can I do the things I want to do with one, no money at all, two, with minimal cost, and three, if I were to pay for it. You start with your circle, right? Facing, I'm trying to start up something, I need legal advice. It's as good as calling my friends, scrolling through my Instagram. Which one wore wig like 2 weeks ago and finished from law school? Oh, this guy finished. Oh, yeah, you've done your, but I'm having these issues. If they do not know, they ultimately will be able to point you towards someone who does. If I need strategy related things, it's a matter of eating up Mr. Bankole. Hey, I'm thinking of this thing. And he has been helpful in the past. He's like, oh yeah, this person is more comfortable on that particular topic. I can introduce you to them. But I think we've gotten so comfortable with our friends that we don't actually see the value they can provide to us. So for someone who is not willing to spend, honestly, the best place to start is your friend group, your circle. Then you could go to your colleagues, and then they can ultimately expose you to conferences that you might have to pay for. At that point, then you try to measure your value versus the amount you're paying. Or does it make sense to pay 100,000 for this conference or 5,000, or do I have to travel for this? I think again, start from thinking about how can I spend the bare minimum or nothing at all to get to what I want to get, and then how do I get what I want with the minimal cost possible. Again, going back to social currency, I believe everyone is the foundation to their business as the founder, right, or as the inventor, right? And I have a saying, you can't build a mansion on a rocky foundation. Actually, you can. It's only a matter of time till it crumbles. So if you as a person, you're not structured, online and offline, it's only a matter of time before the business, goes south. So you should continuously invest in people and on people in the sense that you provide value and you also give value. That's like the long and short of my.
Thank you so much, Damilari. And something struck me there, when you said we should start from our friends. And I think that is even important that I add to that. A lot of SMEs, you've already said that what's the word now? They underrate their friends. They get too comfortable with them. But another thing they don't do is that they don't expand their network in terms of how many people can I call friends. So even if I'm meeting you online, if for example, and I always tell SMEs that there are a handful of people that you need close to you, right? You need a strategy person, somebody who understands dynamics of the market. You need a brand person or a graphics person. Let's reduce it to graphics, right? You need somebody who understands accounting. You need a lawyer, right? And you need a tech person. Handful of people that you can always, trade favors, that you can always, pay when you can, all those kind of things. You need them within your close circle. If you don't have them, the internet is a good place to make friends, right? Engage people. When you see somebody who is in the field that you are trying to build networking, follow them, constantly engage them, and interact with them privately, and over time, you become friends. Now, let me come back to Adeswa. Adeswa, and after Adeswa, I would like Mr. Agunimbi to quickly talk on cash flow management, how SMEs can manage their cash flows effectively, because we're a few minutes short of time. So, out of time. So, Adeswa, tell us in simplified terms, right, the end-to-end in terms of outputs, because there are lots of questions with regards to your platform. A lot of people are asking that, they registered, they are not sure if it can work for their type of business. Somebody says he has a car wash, for example, and he's not sure that. I think he got lost, or he got carried away with the sales, with the, what's it called now, the display, the sales room, part of it, and the picture part of it. But can we simplify it in terms of actual deliverable points, especially for accounting and record keeping and all that? What outputs that they can get for small businesses?
Thank you very much, Ayo, for that.
There's also another question about if it can create receipts. So all those various outputs that it can do for them. Yes. Thank you.
I've actually seen those questions. Thank you all for the questions coming in. And I must say, I've enjoyed each of the speakers' comments or recommendation based on the areas they touched upon. And I'll say one thing, sincerely, I'm very excited that I'm very excited at the feedback I'm getting at System Specs by coming up with Paylink. And I'm not saying this just because we want to push out our product, or we want people to use Paylink, or we want to sell our product. I'm sure if you know System Specs, you know that money is not our problem. Yeah, so I'm saying it because it checks all the boxes. All the feedback I've been getting, all the feedbacks I've actually taken down notes, and I'm seeing that our solution, the product that we've developed specifically for SMEs, confirms all the researches we did before we came up with the product, because it answers all the questions. Take data, for example, and I'm going to use the car wash example to explain how Paylink can help such a business as simple as car wash to achieve or migrate to a point where you are positioned for growth based on all the advice and feedbacks that have been coming from the speakers. So a car wash business owner, for example, how can you use Paylink to get data, for example, now? You can use Paylink to get data by, you don't have to do so much, at least in smartphones. Now, there's a shift already to a point of owning smartphones and having access to an internet-enabled device to run your business. So pick your smartphone, as simple as picking your smartphone. Get a picture of maybe a site of your car wash where you are, maybe a picture that you think is worthy to showcase to your potential customers. Take a picture of that space. Describe your location where you are, because car wash requires that people come into your premises to enjoy your service. So describe your location. You can say, for people around, maybe for example, Bagada, located here. If you want to wash your car, you can come in here. That's describing your business, describing your location. And helping people that will view that information to know where to find you. That is the car wash example. Pick that information, register your business on PayLink, your name, for example, maybe your business name, even if you're registered as H&H Corporation or H&H Brothers, whatever it is, you can even go as far as using the name you are known for. For example, if you are known as Mr. Car Wash or whatever it is that people in that area know you for, you can also specify that in the description of your business. Once you've done that, you get the picture of a space you are comfortable to showcase. You'd create your link automatically and share your link with your network. I've heard a lot around social currency, expanding network. The network you have, when you start with the network you have, and they see how efficient you are, and they see how competent you are in keeping to your promise as a business, it will increase your network, because of course people will recommend you to other friends, and that's how your network can grow. So once you do that, you share your link within the network that you have or within your reach, and anybody that sees that link clicks on it, looks at it, oh, a car wash, okay, this looks nice. I've never seen any car wash business do this before. Okay, I stay around Bagada. Let me even check out the guy to see how his service delivery is. And I drive my car and I go to his place and say, okay, please help me wash my car. The guy comes up, washes my car, and when I'm done, he says, please, you can click that link and also pay me without having to do anything. Tell me, we have a lot of people on this panel, and we have people listening, participating in this conversation. Think on it. If you go to a car wash outlet and you get this kind of service delivery, tell me, won't you be a returning customer? That is how little you can add a digital tool to improve on your business process and position you for growth. So in terms of data, when the link is shared, and the person wants to maybe pay after the car wash, the car wash is done, the service is delivered, person clicks on the link, you have the opportunity to require specific or ask for specific information that you can store, even as a car wash business owner. Because now I expect that with all of these feedbacks and suggestions, there's a change in the mindset of every SME business owner present here today. So in applying this, you get that information. You can ask for phone numbers, ask for email address. You can ask for whatever it is you want to keep as information. You don't need to get paper. You don't need to get computer. You don't need to get a big infrastructure to manage this PayLink platform just on your mobile phone. And it's web-based. You don't need to download the app version. And we're also working on it to expand based on market needs. That's to show that we're not just out there to sell product or make money. We're out there to solve problems. If somebody wants to pay you after enjoying a service of car wash that you've done, the person will provide the information, maybe a name, phone number, whatever it is you want. That information is saved on your profile. And when you go to your PayLink profile, you can see those information. It's available to you 20 years from the time the payment was made. So here you are achieving several things at the same time. You are retaining your customer, because when I get to a car wash like that, I'm telling you, I will come back. 2, you are gathering data and you are keeping it for subsequent use, maybe to look at your business, your customer information to help you with decision making on your business growth. You are storing data for that purpose. 3, you are keeping yourself safe, even in this time, not exchanging cash with people. And at the same time, you are giving your customers convenience, because you just tell them, click and pay, and that's it. And you don't have to wait for your bank to give you an SMS notification to confirm that this person has paid, because sometimes SMS notifications are delayed. From your Facebook profile, you can confirm with the payments that has been made by that customer with details. You can just look at it and confirm that, voila, that person has paid. And one thing about PayLink, because I'm emphasizing this because we did a lot of research. One thing about it is that I think we are the only fintech in the industry that has a plan to ensure that card payments, which is known to be T+1 settlement, can happen instantly. We went as far as making sure that that is available on PayLink, so that when you receive payment, you can quickly confirm that payment and complete your service delivery. So with that example, as simple as owning a car wash business, you can see how a simple tool that you don't have to invest so much in, and it is the cheapest in the industry. We are not going to charge you for registering. We are out to make sure your business is successful, because System Specs started as a small business. Today, we are out there. Everybody knows System Specs and want to identify with us. So we understand what it means to grow in a country like Nigeria. So you don't have to pay to register. It's free. The only payment that has to be made is for processing fees. Of course, to stay in business, for us to continue to develop solutions, we need to stay profitable. So the only payment that will be made is processing fees, which you have the flexibility to decide who bears. So if you want your payers to bear the processing fee, you can just select that option. Anybody that is paying you will pay the processing fees that is the cheapest on the market today, and you are enjoying a technology that has helped you improve on your business processes at absolutely no cost. So you can also download reports, and for that person that asked about receipts, that is one of the interesting features and feedback we've received. Your customer automatically receives email receipts delivered to the email address and also displayed on the screen after a payment is made. They can also save that.
Adesua. Yeah, thanks so much, Adesua. I think we would have to get participants, some of them, to engage further. Maybe you share a platform where they can engage you further, your handles. I would like Mrs. Olumide Ojo to quickly drop her closing thoughts, because she has to get on other things now. After that, Mr. Ogunubi and Tunde will give their closing thoughts. Then we'll wrap up the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ayo. I think first is to thank you most sincerely for putting this together. I put together conferences myself, and I know that is both mentally tedious and it is financially tedious. So well done, and thank you for giving back. I think also very lovely to have connected to every member of the panel. I did learn so much. Thank you. I appreciate the learnings that you shared. I think for the wider audiences, please don't let this be another conference where you have heard and heard. I think if I want to leave you with one thing, is to say you should just go ahead and do and put to action everything that you have heard. And don't waste your man hours. It's a Saturday morning. It's valuable time just listening. I think it's really critical that you put to use all that you have heard. And also just to say to you, as one of my lecturers said to me, go ahead and be lucky. God bless you. Cheers.
Thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you too.
Bye.
Okay, Uncle Yinka, please, I would like you to quickly talk about cash flow. What are the easiest ways that these guys can, manage their cash flow, quickly, so that we wrap up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayo. Okay, so let me just quickly rush through. There are loads of things that you can do, and I'll just run through a few, and I'll also talk about a tool which we know as the cash flow statement, or what you call a cash flow projection or something, so that you can use that as a tool to help them manage this. So one of the things you can do is one, increase the number of items sold, because what happens is that the more you sell, the more cash that you get. So you're able to have an increased level of flow. Number two is that you can also increase the price of your expenses. You can increase the price of your items as well, because it will ultimately also increase the amount of cash that you have. One other way you can do it as well is to also reduce the level of your cost. Because if you reduce the level of your cost, and your cost of sales, and you increase your price a bit, it increases your cash flow. You can also reduce your expenses. Expenses are some of the things that really drive businesses down. You had what Dami said about the fact that there are some things that you can actually do for free, without necessarily getting yourself bogged down. A lot of challenges that SMEs have, and I think Kito mentioned in terms of some of these things, is trying to get some of these corporate governance things done. corporate governance costs money. You have to do it the way it's actually set out to do, because you need to put people here, systems there, and all these things. But if you can leverage on friends, you can leverage on paying people by equity, for instance, instead of paying them cash, pay them by equity. I mean, for instance, your business will need to have a lot of legal records being written. Instead of paying lawyers all the time, all right, get a friend of yours who is a lawyer who can do those things and give him equity, 3% in the business, and he starts writing all those things for you for free. So you can reduce your expenses, and in that you increase your cash flow. You can change the timing of your expenses. So today, if you do any service with big corporations, they don't pay you immediately. They never pay you immediately. They'll tell you, you know what, you're going to wait for the next 30 days. Some will keep you waiting for 90 days. I'm not saying it's right, but the point is change the timing of your expenses, or change the timing of your payments, or change the timing of your payables. What you do, once you're able to do that, at least it allows you to be a little bit of control over your cash, you know, in a different way. If you have the opportunity of buying on credit from your vendor, exploit, because basically the vendor is financing your business in another way, you know. So don't be in a hurry to pay to give money in exchange for the vendor. If the vendor is able to give you credit, collect the credit, sell the goods, and then pay the vendor back, it's an old way of actually ensuring that you are able to use the vendor's products to finance your business. One last one, it's important to be able to ensure that there are policies in place, you know, on how you pay, on how you get paid sooner by your customers. You know, in the business, you have payables, the people you are paying, and receivables, the people that are paying you. Okay, so in the same way that you are trying to delay, you are trying to delay payments to others, others are trying to delay payments to you. You understand? So how do you go around that? Put policies in place. Your policy says, you know what, if I sell to you today, you must pay me within the next 24 hours. Or if you're at this level of sales with me, I will give you credit. If you're not at this level of sales, I will not give you credit. So establish some level of policies in place. Once these policies are in place, they can help you manage your cash flow. Now, let me talk quickly about your cash flow projections. Now, the thing is, there's a difference between your cash flow statement and then your budget. Many people confuse it. They think it's the same thing. It's not. Your budget is a financial tool that allows you to project over a period of time your income, your expenses, and it remains the same over that long period of time, except maybe there's an extraordinary circumstance that changes, maybe like COVID, for instance. But your cash flow projection can change from a month-to-month basis. So you have the ability to be able to change that from a month-to-month basis. And when you're doing that analysis, you basically rank them under three categories. So you find what you call your source of cash, which will document basically all your income in cash, your cash for customers, your interest earned, your loans, funds received, any inflow of cash. These are sources of cash. In the second category, you will have what you call your operating use of cash. So this is where all your expenditure will be. A lot of all these things will already be in your P&L account, you know, because they are your day-to-day transactions. And then the third category will be your non-operating, you know, cash. A lot of all these things will not be in your P&L account, but they will be in your balance sheet. So things like equipment that you are buying, you're purchasing, inventory, you know, equity, and some of those other things. When you put all this together, you have a fantastic cash flow forecast or projection that gives you an idea of what the cash in your business and the number of months that you can keep this cash and can run your business with it. I hope I tried in 2 minutes or so. Ayo.
Much. You definitely did more than justice to this, to be honest. I told you, Uncle Yinka, that you are the only one I know who can do justice to this, you know, as much as possible. Thank you so much. Tunde, please, I will need you to zoom in on that topic on leadership in 2 minutes so that we can wrap up. Leadership, how should SMEs manage their people so well so that it doesn't become militarism and they discourage those who can benefit them?
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So I'll say first thing you want to do is, you mentioned something when you started about most SMEs run their businesses as if it's a dictatorship, regime. It's as if I'm the boss here, right? You have to first of all eliminate that, right? You have to be emotionally intelligent. You are dealing with humans here, and as a human resources professional, there's this thing we always say at backend. Humans are the most complex people to manage, to deal with, and having that at the back of your mind means that you are not coming to boss anybody. And how do you actually attain these leadership skills? The truth is, most people, most of us, when we went to school, there were some kind of skills that were not really taught. We didn't have classes for such things. Something like you have leadership skills, communication skills. You will do the general English and all that, but I'm talking of communication skills in terms of non-verbals, right? Leadership skills in terms of emotional intelligence, right? So when you identify that this is a skill that I need, you have to train yourself. And training in the sense that there are lots of free online platforms online that you can get. I'm sorry, but there's just a lot of faces popping up all of a sudden, and I'm wondering. So, there are lots of online platforms that offer very good courses that you can actually get these skills. There's the Harvard Online, there is Coursera, Udemy. You can do a simple Google search of leadership skills for small businesses. You can do that simple Google search, free leadership skills for small businesses, and you'll be very surprised at the list that will come up. It could be a 4-hour skill session. It could be a 10 hours course, right? You take that course and you'll be very surprised at the vital, valuable feedback you will get on how to manage people, how to manage your own co-workers, your customers and all that. So I think knowing, first of all, identifying and knowing that I need to develop this skill is very important. Knowing that there's a gap, knowing that, I'm not running, it's not just a business that I just need to be pocketing money. It's a business that I'm trying to offer value, and value in terms of satisfaction, value in terms of, people readily saying thank you without forcing it out of their mouth because you've offered a very good service, right? Value in terms of, you're always on time, you communicate on time. All those all tied to that leadership skills, right? Value in terms of giving feedback, constructive feedback. When you have maybe one person working with you, it could be somebody that does your delivery for you, but you're always shouting at the person, or you don't give constructive feedback in the sense that, this is where I think you're lagging. This is where I think you need to improve on, right? And give such valuable feedback. You'll be very surprised that such people see you as mentors. Such people, they kind of see you as somebody they can roll up to, somebody they can work with, right? So when you have that kind of mindset of, I need to improve this just so that every other thing, because it trickles down to every other thing, and it has a ripple effect on everything, your business, your income, it trickles down on the tech, on the finance, everything, right? So knowing that and having that mindset is very important, because at the end of the day, if you just believe that, leadership skills was, and it will amount to nothing. So that's I'll end on that, just so, because I know that we are also running late.
Thank you so much, Tunde. Thank you so much to our panelists. This brings us to the end of this session, but we know that these conversations, because we're running it online, so we had to really streamline it, as against the physical one where it goes for hours and people can, we have breakout sessions and all that. We've had a very brilliant session, and we honestly couldn't have done this without, our partners. We want to thank PayLink. PayLink has done amazingly well for us. ProShare, WebTV, MSME Standards. Some who have been asking for transcripts for this session, they can go online to www.webtv.com. The transcript will be there, the videos will be there. We will also share content with you. We are also going to be hosting, we're going to be launching what we call MSME Quadrangle on a monthly basis, where we can have chats and these conversations with MSME owners virtually. You can come in with your business questions. We can bring in experts also to share conversations with you. We're starting this next month. Look out, follow Lagos SME-Bootcamp on Twitter. You will see updates on all of this. I also want to thank the speakers. I'm very grateful. Uncle Yinka, thank you so much. Ms. Nkiru is gone. Mr. Babatunde had to join another session, but of course, he added a lot of tremendous value to us. Thank you to all our participants. You guys are brilliant people. Thank you to all the team members. My co-founder, Sheon, is the one that has been managing all of this platform from the US. He has been awake since 3 a.m. Thank you so much. All the volunteers, you can see all their pictures. They had to, show their videos so that they can say hi, to everyone. Jumoke and Praise, I don't know why you're not here, but it's okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to, and I think I speak for all these speakers here. I just appreciate you for your work and your dedication, towards this. Many people do not know what goes on at the back end of this, put this together. And also the fact that there's a cost element to what, it's been done. When you see things moving, also always understand that they don't just move by themselves. They move because people are moving them, and somebody is paying for that. And so my appeal to every participant, all the participants here, is not to take this for granted because it is free. If we were to do this from a purely commercial point of view, just imagine how much it will cost really to bring Mr. Babatunde Irikara here, and a lot of all this, speakers, from Nkiru to Kiton to Tunde and some of all these other guys here. It will be very expensive, but everybody is here mainly because of the leadership of Ayo and his team and his dedication, to which is clear to everybody. So please, let's not devalue it because it is free, but let's take the lessons, the tools, the things that have been shared, and leave here with determination to do better. So again, I commend you and your team, Sheon and Ubi and all the rest. You guys are fantastic, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. So I'm just going to leave it to the co-founder, Sheon Jai Slim. You call him Slim. Slim is talking from the US. He will just close the shop, and I'll see you guys later in the month. Please, you have to let us know if you're interested in signing in for our monthly quadrangle, and I'll see you guys on the TL. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. My name is Sheon Jai. I'm the co-founder or co-convener for this event. And I really want to appreciate everyone from the co-panelists to the attendees and to all the guys helping out doing some things. Hopefully when COVID goes off and we'll be able to travel, possibly we'll have an in-person version. So I'll be around. And I really, really appreciate everyone for doing this. And please just watch out on the website. We'll be upgrading the website in a couple of weeks. So we put in more information about the quadrangle, so people can go in and register. So we'll be able to, learn more. So we want to make that on a monthly basis online. So everyone can come together to, to just have a chit chat and everything. And give more attendees the opportunity to also speak, rather than making them mute like we did for this version. But we're looking forward to the next version, next edition. Very soon we hope to more. And thank you so much to Paylink and all our partners, MSME, OGZ, and those who came all the way, who woke up from Canada, also just like me. I woke up around 3 a.m. So thank you guys. And
Shola, please.
And Shola, Shola also. Thank you also for waking up, and thank you also for all the technical inputs from the background. And I hope you guys enjoyed the music when we started anyway. So thank you guys, and you all have a wonderful time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Nice to connect with everyone. Bye.
Yeah, so we're going to send you a communique after.
Bye.
Please check your emails. We're going to send you a communique. Bye-bye. God bless you.
And if anyone wants to stay behind and just chit chat, it's fine.
I want to go sleep. I'm so tired. I want to go sleep.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we need to sleep, man. Yeah.
Oh,
you're still on. You're still on.
I know I'm on, but it's just oh, those things is there. Is that speaker not working?